You know that feeling when you dive deep into a new topic and you're expecting this really clear answer, only to find like multiple totally fascinating perspectives instead.
Absolutely. Happens all the time.
Well, today we're definitely going on one of those journeys. We're going to explore how three brilliant minds, Alexander, Heidegger, and Gadamer, looked at how we understand things.
Yeah.
Particularly something as, solid as architecture.
Right. And our mission today really is to unpack their ideas. Sometimes they clash. Sometimes they surprisingly echo each other.
Yeah.
We're asking, is meaning fixed or is it more fluid? And what about your own mind? What role does it play?
And ultimately, what makes a building actually good from their viewpoints?
Exactly. And we're drawing this from a pretty rich philosophical text.
Yeah.
Specifically parts where they discuss architecture.
So get ready for some, I think, genuine aha moments, stuff that might really change how you think about, everything. From reading a book to just, looking at the buildings around you.
It's a bit of a shortcut, maybe, to getting your head around some pretty deep ideas.
Okay, so let's dive right in. Let's unpack this first big question. When you encounter something, could be text, could be a building, is there one single true intended meaning? Or is it more open, more about your interpretation? Let's maybe start with the traditional view first.
Sure. So historically, before guys like Heidegger and Gadamer really shook things up,
right,
the dominant philosophical idea was that, yes, a text or, say, an author's intention had a single ultimate fixed meaning.
One meaning.
One meaning. And understanding was basically the job of uncovering that definitive absolute meaning. It was very author-centric, you could say.
Okay, so the creator puts a meaning in. Your job is just to get it out perfectly. Like finding treasure.
Kind of, yeah. But Heidegger, he really challenged that whole idea of a fixed ultimate understanding. He argued against it.
How did he see it then? What was his take?
Well, what's really fascinating is how Heidegger shifts the focus. It's not about a detached observer anymore. It's about an engaged participant. He brings in this concept, Dasein.
Dasein, right. Heard that term. It's like our being in the world.
Exactly. Our unique way of existing in and engaging with the world. So for Heidegger, understanding isn't some tool we apply to a text. It's actually a fundamental way our Dasein, our being, exists and relates to everything. We're always constantly in this process of knowing, connecting.
So no final answer then? No perfect understanding?
Nope. Not according to Heidegger. Each interpretation is unique. It arises from that specific Dasein's interaction. It's less about, nailing down the single meaning.
Right.
And more about how meaning unfolds through our very being, through our existence in the world.
Okay, that makes sense. It's more dynamic. And Gadamer, he built on this, right?
Yeah.
He also thought a fixed ultimate meaning wasn't really possible.
That's right. Gadamer agreed. He emphasized something he called the hermeneutic circle.
The hermeneutic circle. Can you walk us through that? Sounds intriguing.
Yeah, it is. So Gadamer says understanding happens through this ongoing dialogue, a constant back and forth. Between the interpreter that's you and the work itself. Could be a text, could be a building.
Yeah.
So meaning isn't static. It sort of emerges, it evolves from this interaction. And he also talks about the fusion of horizons.
Fusion of horizons.
Your own perspective, your background, your, let's say, horizon of understanding, it merges with the horizon of the work itself. And this merging creates new, expanded understanding. It's always growing.
Wow. Okay. So if both Heidegger and Gadamer are saying meaning isn't fixed, it's dynamic, it involves us, how does that square with someone like Alexander? Someone who might think, no, there is a core, unchanging truth in a great piece of architecture.
Ah, yes. Alexander. He stands in, stark contrast here.
Really?
Oh, definitely. He firmly believed that good architecture, emphasis on good, does carry a fixed and certain meaning.
A fixed meaning. What did that mean to him?
Well, from his perspective, good architecture is inherently truth-bearing. It carries life, he'd say, for the audience. And quite profoundly, he viewed this fixed meaning as a manifestation of God.
Wow. Okay, that's a very different take.
It really is. And it brings up this crucial tension, right? Alexander gives you this strong anchor for meaning within the building itself, kind of universal truth it imparts.
Yeah.
Whereas Heidegger and Gadamer, they really highlight the dynamic, evolving nature of understanding happening in the mind of the person experiencing it.
That is a fascinating contrast. Thinking about my own experiences, sometimes I do feel like a building hits me with something profound, almost unchanging, like Alexander. suggests. But other times, a place I know well suddenly feels different, reveals new layers as I've changed. That sounds much more like Gadamer's fusion of horizons.
Exactly. It shows how much our own inner world matters, which actually leads us perfectly into the next point.
Right. Because if understanding isn't just about the thing out there, what about us? Our thoughts, biases, experiences? Are they helpful? Or do they just get in the way?
Well, the traditional view, again, before Heidegger and Gadamer, philosophers often saw the interpreter's own mind, their prior knowledge, their biases, as, well, interferences, things that stopped you from getting to the pure objective truth, things to be overcome.
Kind of like static on the radio, obscuring the signal.
Sort of, yeah. But Heidegger argued something pretty revolutionary about this, didn't he?
He did. He said understanding is actually rooted in those very things.
Exactly. He called them force structures. Or you could say pre-understanding.
Direct structures, okay.
And he broke it down. There's forehaving, that's our background knowledge, the shared context we bring. Then foresight, the specific perspective, the angle we take. And foreconception, basically, our expectations of what we'll find.
Right.
And for Heidegger, these aren't obstacles at all. They're the opposite. They are the fundamental structures that enable understanding. You can't escape them. They're the ground understanding grows from.
So you can't understand without them.
Pretty much. And Gadamer, he really picked up this thread using the term prejudgment.
Prejudgment, which sounds negative, but for Gadamer it wasn't.
Not at all. For him, these prejudgments inherited traditions, cultural contexts, ways of seeing. They're the very foundation. They're what allow us to even begin to engage with art or texts.
So how do we avoid just being stuck in our biases then?
Well, that's the dialogue part. Through interacting with the work, through that hermeneutic circle, we test and refine our prejudgments. It's a process. We challenge our inherited views, and that leads to deeper understanding, maybe even personal growth.
Okay, so Heidegger and Gadamer see our inner world, our pre-understandings, as essential for interpreting. Now, Alexander, he also focuses on the inner world, but differently, more about the creator.
Precisely. Alexander shifts the focus to the architect's inner mental state. They're prejudgments, if you like, but in the context of creating good architecture.
So what kind of inner state did he think was needed?
He stressed the need for profound humility and devotion. The architect needs to let their personal ego, their desires, just fade into the background.
Why? What was the goal?
The goal, in Alexander's view, is to create architecture for God, not for personal fame or recognition.
Wow.
Good architecture, for him, arises when the architect achieves this inner state of oneness. He also called it lack of discontinuity, a deep, almost spiritual connection and integration with the world.
And that state allows?
It allows God's manifestation, as he put it, a divine presence almost, to emerge in the building itself, through the architect's state of being.
Okay, so if we connect all this, there's a really powerful thread running through all three, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Alexander shows how the creator's inner state shapes the creation of meaning, while Heidegger and Gadamer are really homing in on how the interpreter's inner state shapes the reception of meaning.
Exactly. It just underscores the huge influence of the human mind, both in making and in perceiving reality.
Right. Okay, so we've tackled the nature of understanding, the role of our inner world. Let's tie it back now, really concretely, to buildings. What makes architecture good, according to each of these thinkers? Let's start with Alexander again. His view seems quite distinct.
It is. For Alexander, good architecture is defined by possessing and expressing life, spirit, and its ability to connect us to our deeper self.
Life and spirit in a building. How?
He talked about structure. Every work has a structure, and higher levels of structure express higher levels of life. But a key concept for him is that oneness, or lack of discontinuity. Meaning good architecture isn't separate from its context, from the world. It's fused with it. It dissolves boundaries, creates this deep sense of belonging.
And this connects back to the architect's mindset.
Yes. The architect's humility, their connection to something larger, allows this life and spirit to manifest. For Alexander, it's literally about the presence of God within the structure.
The presence of God, that's powerful. Okay, so Alexander sees it as almost a spiritual channel. What about Heidegger? His focus was more on human existence, right? Dwelling.
Indeed. Heidegger saw architecture, or building bilden in German, as completely inseparable from dwelling wohnen. And dwelling, for him, wasn't just having shelter. It was a fundamental way humans exist, our Dasein.
So how does building relate to dwelling?
Building, for Heidegger, brings forth what he famously called the fourfold.
The fourfold? Okay, what are those?
It's the earth beneath us, the sky above, the divinities, the sacred, the mysterious aspects of existence, and mortals, us humans.
Okay. Earth, sky, divinities, mortals.
Right. And a true building, a place of dwelling, creates a space where these four elements can meaningfully come together, converge. It fosters, he thought, peace and solace.
So the purpose isn't just function, it's deeper.
Much deeper. Ultimately, for Heidegger, architecture's purpose is to reveal truth. Or being. He used the Greek term aletheia, which means like unconcealment.
Unconcealment.
Yeah, allowing things to appear as they truly are. A building, by its nature, can strip away distractions and let fundamental aspects of reality, of being, emerge clearly.
So it's not just shelter, it's a site for revealing truth about existence itself.
Precisely. His view is deeply ontological. It's about creating a space where we can truly be in the world, fully dwell, and connect with the fabric of existence.
That's profound. Okay, so Alexander, God's manifestation, Heidegger, dwelling and revealing truth. How does Gadamer fit in? He saw architecture more as art.
Primarily, yes. Gadamer approached architecture as a form of art. And engaging with it, just like engaging with a text, is that dynamic dialogue we talked about, the hermeneutic circle.
Back to the circle.
Back to the circle. It requires, he said, absorption. You need to immerse yourself in the experience, not just think about the building's function or materials in an instrumental way.
Absorption, like getting lost in it.
Kind of, yeah. And the experience of architecture as art has an unknown end.
Meaning
New aspects, new understandings can keep emerging over time. The dialogue never really finishes. It continually enriches your experience in ways you might not expect.
So Gadamer emphasizes the ongoing relationship, the evolving experience between the viewer and the artwork, the building.
Exactly. It's less about a fixed truth in the building and more about the meaning that unfolds between you and the building over time.
Okay. 3 really distinct, powerful ways to look at this. Let's try and pull the threads together now, put them side by side. What are the big takeaways? First, maybe on that certainty of meaning. Fixed versus fluid.
Right. So, Alexander,
Yeah.
pretty clear cut. Good architecture has a fixed, truth-bearing meaning tied to God's manifestation. Its essence is stable.
Unchanging.
Unchanging. Then, Heidegger and Gadamer. Completely different. Meaning is not fixed. Understanding is always dynamic. It evolves through our being in the world, Heidegger, or that hermeneutic circle, Gadamer. It's an ongoing process, never finished.
Okay. And what about the role of the person involved, either the architect creating or the person experiencing, their mindset?
Again, a key difference. Alexander puts huge emphasis on the architect's internal state, humility, devotion, oneness, as critical for creating good, meaningful architecture.
It starts with the maker's spirit.
Yes. Whereas Heidegger and Gadamer focus more on the interpreter. For them, the interpreter's prejudgments, their forestructures, aren't just present, they're essential for understanding. They're the necessary lens, not a dirty lens.
So one focuses on the purity needed to create, the others on the necessity of our existing framework to understand.
Well put, yes.
And finally, this idea of oneness or unity seems to pop up in different ways. How does that compare across the 3?
It's interesting. Alexander explicitly emphasizes oneness. The lack of discontinuity between the building, its context, the world, and crucially the architect's connection to the divine. This unity is what allows good architecture to manifest God.
Very direct.
Very. Heidegger talks about unity differently. His architecture unifies the fourfold earth, sky, divinities, mortals, bringing them together in the act of dwelling. It's an act of unification through building.
Bringing disparate elements into harmony.
Exactly. And Gadamer, well, he doesn't use the word oneness like Alexander, but his fusion of horizons certainly implies a kind of unity.
How so?
In that fusion, the horizon of the work and the horizon of the interpreter merge. There's a profound connection, an integration that happens in the act of understanding. The work, the creator, the audience, they become connected in that dialogue.
So despite all their differences, they all seem to point towards architecture being much more than just, bricks and mortar.
Oh, absolutely. Whether it's through God manifesting or enabling true dwelling or facilitating this ongoing artistic dialogue, architecture, for all 3, is deeply tied to our human experience, our being, our relationship with the world itself. It's never just shelter.
We have covered a lot of ground today, really dove deep into Alexander, Heidegger, Gadamer, thinking about meaning, our own minds, and what makes architecture really resonate.
Yeah, it really highlights that understanding anything, a building, a text, maybe even another person, is a much more complex, dynamic, and deeply personal process than we often give it credit for.
Definitely. So here's a thought to maybe take away. Next time you walk into a space, maybe a new building, maybe one you see every day, just pause for a second. Ask yourself, is this building speaking some kind of fixed truth to me? Or am I, right now, with my own background, my own horizon, my own four structures, am I actually participating in creating its meaning in this moment?
That's a great question to ponder.
And then maybe ask, what does that tell you about yourself and your own place in the world right now?
Yeah. And maybe try observing your own prejudgments more consciously as you go about your day. When you read something or talk to someone or experience a place, what assumptions are you bringing?
Right. Not to judge them, but just to notice them.
Exactly. You might find a whole new layer of understanding just opens up.